Okay, now let's finish up this section with a discussion on deployment. Surprisingly, I get a lot of questions from my students asking about deployment, as if it's so complicated, but it's actually really easy. Let's forget about Angular and ASP.NET integration for a second. If we build an application with ASP.NET MVC or ASP.NET Core, what are the artifacts that we need to deploy? First, we need our assemblies, which is the compilation of our C# code, as well as any other third-party assemblies that we reference. We should also deploy the views folder, which includes our Razor views. But when building an application with Angular, we only have a couple of views in this folder. We have the home view and the errors view. The other views are built on the client. We should also deploy web.config and appsettings.json. What about the client side? When we build a client application, what are the artifacts that we need to deploy? We need our JavaScript bundles. So our application code, as well as third-party libraries, we should combine and minify them into one or more bundles. Same goes for our CSS bundles. So any style sheets that we create in our application, as well as third-party style sheets, we need to combine and minify them. And finally, any other static assets like images, icons, and so on. And by the way, HTML templates in our project are actually embedded in JavaScript bundles. So these are the artifacts that we need to deploy. Now, if you are using Visual Studio, you can use the publish command in Visual Studio. So you right-click your project and select publish and take it from there. If you're using VS Code, you need to do that in the command line. So in the terminal, from the project folder, .NET, publish, -c, release. So we're going to use release configuration. The default is debug configuration, which includes additional metadata in the assemblies for debugging. But when we deploy our application to a server, we don't need this extra stuff in our assemblies. So we can use the release configuration to have cleaner and more optimized assemblies. Now, it's going to take a little while, so I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, our project is successfully published. Okay, now back in VS Code, we have this bin folder here. Inside that, we have release, .NET Core App 1.1, which is the version of our .NET Core. And look at this publish folder. What we have in this folder is all we need to deploy this application. So you can simply FTP the content of this publish folder to your deployment environment. Now, if you're using Azure, you can deploy directly from Visual Studio to your Azure account. You can also integrate it with GitHub and other source control repositories. I'm not going to go over that in this video because not everybody uses Azure. But if you're interested, I've added links for additional reading. So let's take a quick look at the content of this publish folder. So you can see we have this client app here, which is our Angular app. And note that inside this folder, we don't have the app folder because the app folder is our source code. We only have the dist folder. We have this views folder, which includes our ASP.NET views. So there's really not much happening here. We only have the home view and the layout and the error view. We have root, which includes our compiled Angular app for the browser. So let's take a look. We have main client. And note that all the code here is minified. So when you publish this application with .NET, it always minifies our bundles. We also have vendor.css and vendor.js. And outside this root folder, in the root, we have our main assembly, which is the compilation of our C# code, as well as other assemblies we have used in this project. So you can see deploying applications is actually pretty easy. If you're using VS Code, run .NET publish on the command line, and of course with the release configuration. Otherwise, if you're using Visual Studio, you can publish directly from the Visual Studio. And that brings us to the end of this section. I hope you enjoyed this section, and thank you for watching.